Hey, how's it going, Breadwinners? HummusThunder here, and today I'm bringing you guys a brand new video on Call of Duty Vanguard. What you guys are seeing over here is the Vanguard alpha for the PlayStation 5. I'm bringing this video out to you guys just to give you guys my overall impressions of the game. In this video, I'll be listing some pros and cons, things that I enjoyed about the alpha, and things that I feel like should change in the final release of the game. I will say I'm actually pretty excited for this game though, but I will try to be as unbiased as possible. I'll be trying to go over as much as I can in my time playing the game. The gameplay that you're seeing right here though is a pretty high kill game. I believe me and Seek dropped almost 47 kills total as a duo. I think I dropped 24 kills in this one, so you guys are gonna definitely enjoy it. If you want to see just gameplay, it'll be here for you to watch as I'm talking. If you haven't followed me over on Twitch, I will be live today. It'll be in the description down below. I might even also pin it as the first comment, so go ahead and follow me over on Twitch. I want to start streaming again. I know I've said it a couple times, but I genuinely have been overthinking it and I want to get back into it. But with that being said, let's get straight into the video. So I think I'm going to start this video off by talking about the cons, what I think the game should work on and try to fix for the final launch of the game, for the final release version of the game. To start off, a lot of people have been talking about the footstep audio. The footstep audio is a little quiet in this game. It's a bit too quiet. It's almost like everyone has dead sounds at all times. Now, some people could see that as a pro, some people could see that as a negative, a con. In my opinion, I personally think it's a little bit of a con as a search and destroy player. I think footstep audio is a great way to relay information back to yourself and your teammates to see where enemies are coming from. Even for a run and gunner, for me, you guys know I love to rush. You know, I'm a very aggressive player. I use footstep audio as a way to feed myself information as to where the enemy is going. Now, do I think they need to be as loud as Modern Warfare's? Absolutely not. Modern Warfare footstep audio is a little bit too loud for my taste. I think they can reach a really nice medium in this game if they turn it up a tad bit, just a little bit. So that'll make running dead silence less of a crutch, but more so something you use when the timing is correct, when the timing is right. On the same note as audio, there are some audio issues in this game. For example, the only one that I can really think of is smashing through the wooden walls. I'm pretty sure if you've played the alpha, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But when you run tactical sprint through the wooden walls, there's no audio. It sounds like you're just walking through the wall. That seems to be a bug that'll most likely get corrected by the time the game comes out, but I really wanted to get that out there and let you guys know that if you're playing the game and you're wondering why, it's more than likely that that's just a bug that'll get corrected as the game releases. So for this year's iteration, they decided to go back to classic Modern Warfare minimap style, where red dots do not show on the map if you're firing an unsuppressed weapon. They actually show up on the compass, just like in MW 2019. If you like the way the Modern Warfare minimap functioned, then really it shouldn't be too big of an issue for you. It'll play exactly the same. I think as an S&D player, it really didn't bother me as much because we don't really play a respawn based mode. I can see why it'd be a bit irritating for the people who like to play respawn, for example, domination, team deathmatch, whatever it is. I think what they should do instead is start to treat the two different modes separately. Like, they don't have the same characteristics. They play vastly different from one another. If it's possible, they should try to make it so in S&D the footsteps are a bit louder, but you don't show up on the minimap, and on respawn the footsteps are quieter, but you do show up on the minimap when you fire an unsuppressed weapon. Everything else should remain the same to keep that level of consistency between all modes, because at the end of the day they play completely differently. And when you're comparing the two, it's not a one glove fits all type situation. There's always going to be some things that won't work in one mode but work in another mode. And if it was up to me, that's how I would handle it. I would try to treat them both a little bit differently from one another. Now I want to move on to the color palette and getting shot. Now you might be wondering what I mean by getting shot. So this game has the same issue that Modern Warfare did during the alpha and the beta. When you get shot, your screen turns dark. Now, that's a pretty simple fix. I'm more than confident that they're going to change that in the final release of the game. I think they're going to go ahead and change it back, just like how Modern Warfare did. People were complaining about the screen turning dark, and people are doing the same thing. What I am kind of worried about is the color palette for the game. Everything seems a little bit too brown for me. Now, that might just be this game mode. I'm not here to say that the entire game is going to be brown because I have not played the entire game. I'm judging it based off just the alpha. The colors are a little too bland for me. I really do hope that the maps that release, and there's supposed to be 20, so more than likely a lot of them will include brighter maps, a little bit more vibrancy to make the game look a little bit better than it does right now. Now, that's something that we're gonna have to wait and see when the full game releases, but I'm literally here crossing my fingers hoping that there are maps that just look really good, that the sun is shining bright and you get to and you get to take in all the details that the devs have put in the environment and in the guns and stuff. Now, I was playing on the PS5, so I really didn't have an issue with the graphical quality. The game looks really good. Now, I did talk about the map colors being bad. You know, it'll be different if you're playing on a different map. It just so happens to be at the alpha, which I think wasn't really the best mode to showcase. happen to be pretty bland and dark. But I think the graphical quality in terms of like the textures, the model of the gun, everything look really good. I think on the PS5, it's consistent 120 frames. I'm not dropping any frames at all. The game is playing flawlessly, which I'm happy about. But the issue really comes from the PS4 version of the game not being nearly as good. My girlfriend plays on the PS4 and she stutters every now and then, and the game doesn't look nearly as good as it does. Now that's pretty obvious considering the PS5 is new technology and the PlayStation 4 is an 8 to 9 year old console, but I still think that older consoles should be able to play the game. Now it's not completely unplayable, but you definitely aren't going to be getting the same experience as someone who's on PC, PS5, or Xbox Series S X. Now you guys know that I play on PC, but I felt like it would be wrong if I didn't mention that. I don't want to like only talk about the PC version, or sorry, the PS5 version of the game and how it's going to be amazing on PC and PS5 and forget the PS4 players, because there's a whole lot of you who play on PS4 who watch me, and I want to let you guys know that the game doesn't look nearly as good. While the game definitely isn't unplayable, like I said, I still think that they should make a little bit of improvements for people who are playing on the PlayStation 4. Now, I could have sat here and nitpicked a few other things that I feel like could be fixed, but I honestly wanted to highlight the biggest issues for me. So what you heard was what I want the devs to go ahead and work on for the final release of the game. Now, I do want to go ahead and talk about some pros that the game got right, and there are a lot of them as well. I'm not gonna sit here and say that there's only cons and no pros. There are equal amount of pros, and the first one being is the Modern Warfare engine. I think the Modern Warfare engine is honestly one of the best FPS engines to date across the board. I think the Modern Warfare, the game itself, really spoiled people who like FPS games, and it delivered. It delivered a very fluid experience. Some people don't like it. Some people like the classic COD feeling, but to be honest with you, the majority doesn't agree with people with that opinion. The Modern Warfare engine is liked by so many, and that's why Warzone is on that engine, and that's why this game and the next game and whatever COD games after that, I guarantee you will be on that engine. Activision has seen the success that engine brings to the series, and because it is actually one of the best iterations that we've got so far. It's very fluid. The attack sprint is back, which I like. I will say attack sprinting is a bit slower to get into than Modern Warfare, but it's still there. The movement is there. You can bunny hop. Everything is exactly like it is in Modern Warfare. Now, blind firing and mounting is back. Well, mounting is back. Blind firing is new. But I didn't really have an issue with those two features in the game. I wasn't really dying to people mounting. I wasn't really dying to people blind firing. I feel like they're just mechanics there to spice up gunfights a little bit more. I don't think they're there to make bad players be able to kill you every single time they decide to mount or blind fire. I think the community just likes to complain for the sake of complaining. I think finding new ways to have combat like mechanics introduced into the game is a good thing. You don't have to blind fire. You don't have to mount. Nobody's forcing you to do these things, but they are there in case you want to. If you're in the middle of a gunfight and you decide to slide behind cover and you want to blind fire a couple times, that option is there for you. I don't understand how that's a bad thing. You're not actively, unless you're actively going to the back of the map and constantly camping, mounting, and blind firing and not trying to push up. That's a little annoying, but I don't see that even being a big issue for people who know how to play the game or how to counter people like that. I think we as a community need to relax. I don't think it's nearly as bad as we make it out to be, and we should just enjoy the game for what it is and try to make the most of it, just like we did with the past couple of games. Now, this is something that a lot of people haven't really talked about, but it's the announcer. The announcer is sick in this game. When you go on streaks, for example, Bloodthirsty, which I don't have, I probably have a clip, but I really don't want to sift through hours of footage. The announcer literally will be like, Bloodthirsty, when you're like on a Bloodthirsty. So I'm curious, if you're going on a Merciless, it'll probably be like, Merciless, Ruthless, Nuclear. You know, hey, I could be actually an announcer, like just, hey, check this out. Nuclear kill. You know, hey, that sounded good, huh? But I really do like that the announcer commentates like your kill streaks. I like that the announcer doesn't sound annoying. Announcers sound really good in this game, and kudos to Sledgehammer for that, because I really like that addition to the game. And I know I just talked about movement, but the movement is fantastic in this game. It's literally Modern Warfare movement, and that's amazing because a lot of people really enjoyed the movement in that game. Arguably, Modern Warfare movement is the reason that game is super popular, which ties in with the engine. It's literally the reason why the movement is the way it is, and I think Vanguard did an excellent job with that. Slide canceling, bunny hopping, everything seems to be working for the most part. and I'm super excited to see how it'll be on 120 FOV. Another thing that they did great in this game is weapon design. Weapon designs look really good. The optics, in my opinion, look awesome. I know there are some people on Twitter who are pretty upset about the optics that are in the game, and I have to ask why. Unless they're completely destroying World War II and they're retconning it to Kingdom Come, I don't see it being a big issue to include nice optics in the game. We had Cold War, which in my opinion had some of the worst optics ever. There was like 3 good optics: the axial arms, maybe the mill stop, and then maybe the SUSAT multi-zoom. There were only a couple optics in the game that looked good, that were decent. In this game, the optics, excuse my French, are awesome. The optics are really nice looking. They're very clear optics. They're not too obstructive. They're very simplistic, and they work exactly as intended. I think the weapon design is sweet. The sounds are really good. Some guns could use a little bit more of a oomph, in my opinion. You could probably turn up the sound a little bit. I could probably throw that in a con in terms of the sound. But I think the reload, the animations, there's no inspections yet. But I do think the reload, the animations when you're attack sprinting, the design of the gun, the textures, I think the recoil for the game, the guns, everything looks really good. Everything is spot on. I think sprint and fire time is a little bit too slow, but that could be changing with attachments because we weren't able to change attachments in the alpha. I think everything looks really good. I think the only thing they really need to work on is the sound design for the guns. Just turn up the volume for them a little bit, give them a little bit more oomph. But other than that, I think weapon design and the optics are just awesome. I think they're great. They also decided to fix Ghost in this game. Sledgehammer really seems to be taking criticism well. They decided that you have to be moving for Ghost to work, which is awesome. Running gunning is also really good in this game. It's super satisfying. Sniping is really satisfying as well. So if you're a sniper, if you're an aggressive player, this game will really be fun for you. It's going to be made for you because the footstep audio is quiet as well. I know I talked about it being a little bit of a con, but if you want silent footsteps is what you're getting. I already talked about the graphics looking really good, but they look awesome on PS5. I really won't get too big into that or too deep into that, but I want to talk about the TTK. This is kind of like the last point that I want to talk about. The TTK in this game is fast, but it feels a little bit slower than Modern Warfare, so you're not going to be getting those instant deaths all the time. They're very few and far in between. It's not as noticeable as Modern Warfare's. People said that the TTK is similar, that it's the exact same. But in my playtime, in my experience, I think it's just a tad bit slower than Modern Warfare's, but not nearly as slow as Cold War's. I think it's a really good balance of like gunfight slash time to kill, weapon damage, etc. I think they did a really good job with that. The TTK is, in my opinion, in a really good place. So I'm really enjoying it so far. I want to go ahead and wrap this review up though. In my overall impressions of the game, I think the game is in a much better place than the Cold War or Modern Warfare Alpha. I think this Alpha is shaping up to be really good when the game releases. I think that they're going to go ahead and take criticism and try to fix and implement a lot of changes for the final version of the game. I went on Twitter and already checked. Sledgehammer is already looking into audio mix issues. They're looking into the wall bangable abilities of the map. Everything seems to be like paper. They're looking into a lot of things, and that's really good to see this early on in the game. The communication is awesome. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this game. If you're gonna get it, if you feel like you're gonna enjoy it, let me know, please. I want to see everyone's feedback in the comment section. I personally am excited for it. I really don't want to play Modern Warfare Year 3. As much as I love that game, I think it's time to move on from that game, and I suggest you guys do so as well. At least give Vanguard a chance. If you don't want to, I completely understand as well. But if you end up enjoying this video, if you feel like somebody will benefit from it, consider dropping a like, subscribing to the channel, and sharing the video. If you haven't followed me on Twitch or my other socials, that'll be all in the description down below. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you, and have a good one.
You got 10 seconds. You're wrecked, Team Easy. We're done here. Stretch your legs. Champion Hill victory is yours.